Most people try to avoid prison at all cost. I've paid to go to prison not once, but twice. Missouri Penitentiary to be exact. Hi, I'm Laura, known as Quirky Driven Life. I love investigating unique places for their claims of paranormal activity. Jefferson City, Missouri is not only the capital of Missouri, it is also the home to a former penitentiary turned tourist attraction. The Missouri State Penitentiary, known as MSP, opened in 1836. It housed inmates for 168 years. It was the oldest continually operating prison west of the Mississippi until it was decommissioned in 2004. I am pleased when a historic location is transformed for a new purpose. It would have been easy for the state of Missouri to let the site fall into disrepair and eventually demolish it. However, they had the foresight to save her, bringing in millions of economic dollars yearly. A variety of tour options are offered, ranging from daytime historic tours, photography tours, public and private paranormal investigations. The first tour I would recommend is the daytime tour. Guides provide the group with history details of the prison and discuss some of the famous inmates that have passed through the facility, such as boxer Sonny Liston, who arrived at Missouri State in 1950 to serve his sentence for 2 charges of robbery with a deadly weapon and 2 charges of larceny. Liston was released in 1952 and would go on to become the world heavyweight champion in 1962 after knocking out Floyd Patterson in the first round. Liston learned to box while he was incarcerated. James Earl Ray served time in Jefferson City until he escaped in 1967. Ray reported to his job in the prison bakery early and was helped into a large box that was used to ship loaves of bread. A truck drove in to pick up the boxes, including the one containing Ray. The truck left the penitentiary. It was nearly a year later, on Thursday, April 4th, 1968, that Ray assassinated Martin Luther King Jr. in Memphis, Tennessee. The daytime tour was a great choice for photography. The natural light filters in, showcasing beauty where some only see decay. The next evening, I returned with my group for a private 8-hour investigation. These investigations are pricey, so if you're not sharing the cost with other investigators, I would advise you to attend one of the public investigations to make the cost more reasonable. While there are still guides and an off-duty police officer with the group for security on private overnights, you are in control of how your time is spent in the prison. Which building you go in and the duration is completely up to you. The guides are there if you request assistance, but they are not involved unless you want them to be. I know it's morbid curiosity, but one of the areas I looked forward to the most was visiting the gas chamber. Missouri Governor Lloyd Crow Start signed a bill in 1937 to change the capital punishment method from electric chair to gas. 40 inmates met their fate in the chamber at Missouri State, including one woman, Bonnie H. Heady. Heady and Carl Austin Hall kidnapped a young boy named Bobby Greenlease. Ransom was demanded at $600,000, which was the largest ransom in U.S. history at the time, which the family paid. Unbeknownst to the family, Heady and Hall had already murdered and buried Bobby shortly after his abduction. In the building where the death row inmates were housed, I asked why Bonnie did what she did. On one of my communication devices, the response from a female, she replied, "Love," which was a pretty chilling response. The most incredible experience that occurred to me while I was on site was in the death row building. I was looking down the hallway into the pitch black darkness, and in the cell to my left was a full-figure body apparition of a man. You know how in old movies when they are interrogating a suspect, the light would swing across their face? That's what it looked like. The light swung from left to right across his face. It was as if a real man was standing in the cell. He had a Caucasian complexion with jet black hair. His eyes were dark and sullen. He was wearing a tan-colored jumpsuit. If you ever watched the TV show Cheers, he reminded me of waitress Carla's ex-husband Nick, portrayed by actor Dan Hedya. Walking around in the dark in a large prison is not for the faint of heart, and I realize this is not everyone's cup of tea, but for die-hard paranormal investigators, this type of environment is like being a kid in a candy store. If anything else, this is something off the beaten path and something new and fresh for you to try. 22 miles northeast of the Missouri capital of Jefferson City, you will find a small private liberal arts college. Westminster College is in Fulton, Missouri. I was surprised to find out the campus holds a 17th century British church that is an unexpected treasure, paying homage to Sir Winston Churchill. Just as a phoenix rising from the ashes, the Church of St. Mary the Virgin, Aldermanbury, rose from fiery ruins on more than one occasion. Currently residing thousands of miles from its original beginning, dating back to the 12th century. In 1677, following the Great Fire of London in 1666, Sir Christopher Wren took the task of rebuilding the chapel. Wren was one of the most prominent English architects in history. Facing the threat of demolition due to nearly being destroyed in World War II bombings, this architectural wonderment now sits in the corner of Westminster Avenue and 7th Street on the campus of Westminster College. Of all the places in the world for the Abbey to be relocated, why did Fulton, Missouri get selected? It all ties back to Sir Winston Leonard Spencer Churchill. Churchill was British Prime Minister from 1940 to 1945 and again between 1951 and 1955. Historically remembered for successfully leading Britain through World War II, Churchill was known for delivering motivating speeches and for his tenacious refusal to quit even when things were going horribly wrong. Winston Churchill delivered his famous Iron Curtain speech on March 5, 1946 at Westminster College. The speech was officially titled Sinews of Peace, but is remembered in history as the Iron Curtain speech. He was describing how the Soviet Union had separated the Eastern European countries from the West so that no one knew what was going on behind the curtain. He implemented the word iron to symbolize that it was impossible to pass through. Churchill's speech was the start of the political culture that became known as the Cold War. Westminster College wanted to commemorate the 20th anniversary of Churchill's visit, so after much deliberation, the college decided to undertake a monumental feat of moving Christopher Wren's church from London, stone by stone, to Westminster's campus. It's hard to imagine such a beautiful place had been destroyed not once, but twice, then resurrected once again in Fulton, Missouri. Adorning the lawn adjacent to the museum, the history continues. There is a portion of the Berlin Wall that was hand-selected by Winston's granddaughter, Edwina Sandys, who is a British artist and sculptor. Portions of the wall were being sold off between $60,000 to $200,000 per panel, which is obviously extremely costly. Sandys met with the German administrators with help of Westminster College in February 1990. After learning about the concept of putting a portion of the wall at the site of Churchill's Iron Curtain speech made quite the impression on the German officials. They authorized Sandys to choose 8 wall panel sections, bestowing them as a gift to the college. Sandys chose her selections because of the dramatic color of the graffiti along with the repeated use of the word "Unwahr," meaning lies or untruths in German. 1 year after the November 9, 1989 fall of the Berlin Wall, President Ronald Reagan dedicated Sandys' art piece entitled Breakthrough as a Cold War memorial on the Westminster College campus. After exploring the church and museum, the next stop was the building where Churchill delivered his famous speech. It now houses the Westminster Fieldhouse. The gymnasium is a registered National Historic Landmark. If you're traveling around Jefferson City, Missouri, I encourage you to visit Missouri State Penitentiary and to make the short detour to Fulton to view the Churchill Museum. I hope you enjoyed this Missouri adventure, and I will catch you next time. Bye.